Top 10 Countdown.
Rear engine funny cars did a hell of a burnout.
Geisler, 1975 Pomona, the hindsight rear engine funny car. What could possibly go wrong with this scenario?
Oh, Lord! Oh, Lord! What? It's doing a tire slapper.
I would say the idea of not having weight on the front end in a funny car is a bad idea.
Especially when the engine's in the back.
Dude, I remember one time watching you and your dad do that with Harvey.
Yeah, we were at Englishtown, I think.
Dude needs a weight bar. He needs a wheel too. Look at that. It's gone.
We flipped the thing over and we had the engine in front.
I've never seen that, a blowover in a funny car. That's spectacular.
The thing that sucks for Geisler is he had the Instant T fuel alter in the late 60s. Like, everybody remembers him for this moment. The guy raced into the 80s, but Woody Hatton shot this video, and this is a iconic crash.
Who would think it's a good idea to have the engine in front of a dragster or a rear engine funny car? That's a terrible idea for a funny car, but I'm not going to tell Big Jim Dunn that.
Weekend packed with excitement. An incredibly fortunate driver, Tim Gross, hearing the cheers of the crowd as he walks away from the wreckage of one of the worst crashes in all of motorsports.
Now, one thing a drag racer never wants to hear at a race is, let's see that from another angle.
Let's watch as Tim Gross, in slow motion, you see it here, losing control of the car, slams first into the guardrail. On the left side of the racetrack, the car almost turning over at that point, coming back down onto what remains of four wheels, heads directly across track and slams into the guardrail on the right-hand side. The body separates from the car, and now the slow, agonizing tumble with the driver inside the roll cage, down the guard.
Like, you can see his arms almost get squashed on a guardrail there multiple times. And then, oh, by the way, we'll just throw an explosion and a fire on top of it. But yeah, he was he was incredibly fortunate to actually walk away from this, because that is about as bad as it gets.
I wonder what he thought when he got the bill for both guardrails. You know he got a bill for the guardrail, both of them. He had to.
Some sod.
I believe my dad had to pay for the guardrail in Baton Rouge when Sherman hit it.
You should have to pay for all the water I had to drink while I was waiting. It's hot down there.
Yeah, there was one guy who was shooting photos there that was taking a picture of a dandelion instead of the car barrel rolling. That would be a career-ending, unfortunate incident if you worked for Competition Plus. You would be, oh, let's get the film developed. You must have got that Gross crash, right? No, but I got this picture of a flower that isn't quite as pretty as Tim Gross's mustache was at that time, which that is, you know, if we're talking about mustaches in drag racing, Gross is a top fiver.
And right now, I'll be praying right now. That's when I have my hands together and saying, oh Lord, help me, help me. Oh Lord, now it's on fire. You see that right there?
It's crazy to think these cars back then, you look at what we have now with all the padding, form-fitted seats, and they just get out and walk away like it's no problem. All they had was their helmet and a roll bar.
Amazingly enough, other than a ripped fire suit and a little spot on your finger, you look hale and hearty.
No, the thing here with the Evans interview, this is a different Evans interview because normally Evans would have the mic on the guy when you could still see the canaries flying around his head, like in the cartoons. Normally that's when they got the mic, and he had time to compose himself.
Well, I've seldom seen a driver. I've never seen a driver take that kind of a pounding in a funny car and come out as well as you have.
Well, I don't know if that deserves an award or not, but I would say that I could see that I was definitely in trouble.
And there you see his performance in the first round. He actually beat, or upset, I guess.
Old Jolly Rancher, look at him. I love when they do those dry hops, that little, You see how that car just jumped, Back in the day.
It looks like Don Brome's Pepsi car.
Yeah, it does actually. The Pepsi Challenger.
Green light.
Oh, Dowie's broke.
Problem with Dowie right off the line, and Tom Mooney is going to have an easy run here, an easy victory.
Crossing the finish line. The chute's not open, Bob.
And he's out of control. Tom Mooney is off the course.
Mooney mows down some North Carolina pines.
It's not often you can transition a drag race into a mud bog in 3 seconds, but that's exactly what Mooney did. Thankfully, the thing didn't flip over.
Going to have an easy run here, an easy victory.
Crossing the finish line. The chute's not open, Bob.
And he's out of control.
Yeah, the guardrail just stops, and he finds out where it stops.
Oh, he took out the tree! But not the wrong, he ain't cut the tree down the starting line, he cut the wrong tree at the finish line.
Dude, this is like Street Outlaws.
Look at that. That was, and he took the tree down.
The car came apart. There's a complete roll cage on the...
Somebody got a Christmas tree out of the deal. I mean, I'm sure, listen, if there's one guy who could have figured out how to sell that tree, you know who it is. The man running the racetrack.
As you can see, we've got all kinds of bent metal. Are you okay?
Look, he got out like nothing happened. He's like, yeah, I'm good.
You want to talk about how good the guy's he should have run that as an ad. My chassis is so good you can cut down a forest and walk away.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
That right there, man, you see him? You see him right there? He had the gangster lean at the first.
Watch this car get on the nose and stay there. Like, that's insane. And then of course it lands like directly on the roll cage on top of the guardrail.
Guys are blowing over, flipping, like they were brutal on these funny cars.
There are some days when nothing seems to go right.
The fire bottle goes off like a bottle rocket, but to me, the signature moment in this crash, you have this flaming, disastrous heap of a funny car that's almost to the end, and then, nah, we're just gonna run over the timing system too.
How about the orange pylons at the finish line? You hit one of those, that's gonna tear it up.
You know, there's been something common in all these things. That guardrail in the right lane gets its ass whooped before the left one. Nobody likes that right guardrail.
That was, did I just see a flying bottle rocket?
Lenny right there, this bottle just shot off it into the stands.
You think it was nitro?
Maybe.
Provides the fans with a dramatic moment.
Mickey Thompson, not that Mickey Thompson.
This is the other Mickey Thompson.
So this is a fake Mickey Thompson.
This year in Super Gas qualifying, Mickey Thompson of Ohio, named after the legendary drag, off-road, and Bonneville racer, left the starting line and found himself out of control. Thompson's Chevy Vega started to spin out, first to the left, then to the right, then the rear tire buckled under, and the car began a series of barrel rolls, taking it right up to the guardrail. Right after the crash, we had a
If
chance
it's got
to
four
talk with an
wheels and you're
obvious
drag racing, anything's possible.
Mike Dunn and the ride of his life.
Wow! But that's not all!
that's Mike Dunn. Woo! He's on fire. Ooh! Oh, Mike, slow down. Ooh! Is he all right? Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Look. Mike is gone. Mike's all right. Woo! Woo! You know it's bad when the engine's trying to run away from the accident.
There's been some big ones in drag racing, but to bust the motor complete out of the chassis, ugh.
You know shit's bad when your engine flies out of the car.
Yeah, fine.
It's one of the worst accidents I've ever seen at this end of the racetrack.
Wasn't that bad.
Disqualified. Both men are concentrating, thinking only of performance, not of the possibility of danger. An incredible crash. Ed the Ace McCulloch climbing out of the wreckage of his car. There comes John Collins, crawling from underneath the remains of his vehicle.
I can't imagine making a run and look over and you're getting blindsided by somebody.
Let's take a second look at this almost unbelievable turn of events. In replay, we see both cars leave the starting line side by side. Then, for some unknown reason, McCulloch loses control and slams into the side of Collins' car, forcing McCulloch's machine onto the top of the guardrail on the far side of the track. Collins turns over like a turtle.
Collins was like, man, this couldn't get any worse. Then Ace's car hits the wall and blows the fuel tank out of it, and Collins was like, no, it is. I'm upside down and going through somebody else's fire.
Exploding into a ball of flame, which engulfs both cars and both drivers.
Is that, did they have vehicles back then? Is that safe? Is that the sheriffs riding up on the horses? Are we going back to the Middle Ages? Is that medieval times?
And then the man comes in on horseback because you're in Louisiana. They're probably, God only knows how many daiquiris did the horses have at that point.
Oh.
You know what's good about this? If he would have hit the ace, it probably would have been fisticuffs. But it was the other way around, so they can hug.
Began to burn. He was able to drive that machine to a stop. But can you imagine the incredible heat that is being felt in that cockpit?
Here we go. Charlie, throw the match. Now that's a fire.
Work.
Oh, that's Christine.
The fact that the car
Gary
literally
Denson.
burned to the ground.
Woo!
The fiberglass and tires burning as it rolled to a stop. But still, Gary Denson climbed out okay.
The protective suit doing just an incredible job. 4 or 5 layers of the 5-layer suit have been burned off, but it still managed to protect Gary Denson.
His t-shirt's white as can be, not even any soot or anything on it.
280Z funny cars just did not have a good lifespan as funny cars. As ovens.
Ooh! That car looks like Christina possessed. Ooh, he's still on fire. I thought he'd get out, boy. I thought he got out that car, he'd be darker than me.
This is Pete, who let the puck get by him and lost the hockey game.
Hey, son, have a wintergreen life, Sam.
Coletta wants Jody Smart to stage. He's tired of that long burnout.
He says, stage the car. Get your and stage that car. Come get your butt kicked. I'm ready to take you out.
Oh boy, yeah. When you see Connie Coletta wildly gesturing at you, that's bad news.
The delay. Now they come to the start line. Connie Coletta obviously upset before the start of the semifinal race. Getting ready for amber and then green, and they're away, and a fire breaks out in the car of Connie Coletta.
Very unusual to see a fire like this right up the starting line, Don. At the finish line, maybe, but I've never seen anything quite like this. Jody Smart wins the race, but Connie Coletta has suffered some dramatic engine damage.
That is not the guy you want to be holding up on the starting line, and then that happens.
Jody Smart would have not lived to see the next 8 seconds of his life had Connie made it to the end of the racetrack.
Connie Coletta, Steve, was very upset before this race began, protesting the long burnout run of Jody Smart. And then when the race started, Coletta's dragster broke into a ball of flame.
Connie's going to come out of this car like a gorilla that has just been let out of a cage. The men standing next to this car right now are the bravest human beings that have ever lived.
There is damage to his dragster.
In the replay, we see Coletta motioning starter. Let me go. Let me go down this racetrack. He wanted a single even before Jody Smart was up to 3-stage, 4-stage.
Scarlett's may have started the fire burnout, but in that moment, Coletta might have perfected it.
Whoa!
Dude, that is awesome. Ratman thought he had a jet car. He's like, watch this. I'm going to show Tommy Ivo how to run a jet car.
I'm sure they could see each other. Like Jody Smart could probably see Connie pissed over there waving me in. I would just shut it off.
Hey, Connie protesting here to competition director Steve Gibbs, but quite evidently to no avail because the race.
Now listen, Steve, I'm gonna spit my teeth out at you here if you don't get together.
His final and the Top Fuel Competition Championship round will match Joe Amato and Jody Smart.
I'll tell you what, to me, Bobby, that could be a #1.
Force creeping into the light beams across the starting line, signifying he's ready to go. He gets the whole shot, but it's a red light for John Force. Mike Dunn goes up in smoke, and John Force explodes an engine just as he passes through the lights. The fire rolling out from under the car. He spins it out down in the shutoff area. Fortunately, Mike Dunn had shut it off way early. Here you see the emergency hatch coming open. Let's hope that John Force can get out of that car. There we see him climbing up. The emergency crew already on the scene, dousing him with water. John Force rolling off of the top of the car, taking off his fire protective gloves.
The Lord,
The worst part about that,
what's that?
he red lighted.
Not only he red lights, but as you see again, explodes the engine. Look at the fire coming out from underneath and behind the car.
One of these bodies, probably not this one, was discovered, I think, in somebody's backyard a few months ago. This one may have been discovered in somebody's urn somewhere by the time they were done with it.
Inside the cockpit where the driver is. That's the purpose of that fire extinguishing compound. A tremendous driving job by John Force, and I'm sure he is shaken up, and we'll find out.
Yeah, so not only did he lose there, he burned his car to the ground. That's a bad day. I bet Steve Evans was reminding us.
John, you okay?
John's standing right there.
Uncle Beeve, I don't know what the hell happened there, but it looks like she got a little hot on me.
I think Beeve sold him some junk crap. Beeve.
Like seeing the way Force walks around now, you can understand why, the way these guys got out of the car.
That was a move John perfected later in the 80s, the side dismount, which, in rodeo action, if you're coming off a bull, I think they recommend that. But yeah, an express escape there for John Force.
All these tracks, the shutdown area, they just stopped putting guardrail all the way down. Like you go out in the grass, how did the grass not catch on fire back then?
Undoubtedly, the biggest story thus far is the defending Top Fuel champion and 3-time world champion, Shirley Muldowney. On a qualifying run earlier in the event, Shirley ran into problems. Shedding parts and pieces, the car finally rolled to a stop. Shirley Muldowney jumped from the cockpit, signaling to the arriving safety crew and to the fans that she was okay.
So they repaired this car and raced it that weekend. This was an amazing thing. And Shirley had this happen. Obviously, it happened very seriously to her, and every time it happened. In Montreal, it was the worst. But the way that she was able to deal with a few of these really calamitous situations, somebody less than Shirley would have a car that was just in a pile. And because it was her, obviously, through the course of her career, she proved a million times over her intuitive ability to control a car was ingrained in her. She learned it from the beginning with Jack and the dual engine car and everything else. You watch this hit, very bad, but she kept it from being a front-on hit. They repaired this car in someone's driveway. Or I believe, I'm thinking Al Swindle flew out to Indy and helped fix this car, if I remember the story correctly.
You know what the cool part is? People don't realize how tough Shirley Muldowney is. She drove that thing, tried to still drive it, and the wheel was gone.
Mechanic and a brilliant race driver as well, a complete drag racer.
I'll tell you, Bob Glidden's reaction times at this race have been as good, in fact, a little bit better than Butch Leal's. And there's Anna. She knows any time that they race Leal, he is going to try to lead.
I feel like this is badass pro stock. They did dry hops, wheelies, grabbing gears.
Leal is finally into the beams. They leave right together. Identical reaction times. This is going to be a classic Ford versus General Motors drag race. It is. It appears, oh, Glidden is upside down. Glidden in big trouble. Oh, this is a bad one, Brock.
It is indeed. Got into that fence. The car continues to flop and roll. It looks as if the roll cage stayed together. There's sheet metal and fiberglass all over the racetrack. The NHRA safety crews instantaneously on the scene. So far, no movement from Bob Glidden, though. Everybody in his place. Etta Glidden being consoled by Warren Johnson's wife, Arlene, obviously very concerned about her husband, who's, there he comes.
Bob Glidden is out of the car. Bob Glidden appears to be as okay as you could possibly be.
This is the crazy part, gets sideways. After Bob done flipped, hit the wall, fended for his life, he flipped end over end. And you know what he's worried about? He's worried about getting on the big end of the track, covering up his engine with his jacket.
Let's take a look at it again. The parachute is the culprit. The parachute did not come out properly, yanked the car to one side.
Not that I've studied every moment of every call Steve Evans and Brock Yates ever made, but maybe I have, is when he gets to about this flip, Evans goes, "Oh, Brock, this is a bad one." And it's like, Steve, that was a bad one like 3 flips ago. It's like a real bad one now.
Probably saved his life.
You're absolutely right. The car into that fence at around 185 miles an hour, still rolling, 6.5 full rolls. You see all that bodywork coming loose, but you don't see any of the roll cage coming apart. Bodywork, you can lose. Roll cage, absolutely critical to the survival of this.
Well, credit Warren Johnson. I mean, credit Warren Johnson for saving this guy's life, because WJ puts the funny car cage in his Pro Stocker, which then leads other guys to do it, including Bob Glidden. Without a funny car style cage in Glidden's car, he's probably not walking away from this. It would have collapsed like a normal style roll cage. It would have collapsed the thing because it just started rolling on the wall.
All I can do is thank the chassis builder, Jerry Haas. You know, I don't know what happened. I felt the back of the car come up and it went over, and I just put my arms around my head and I was just in there riding along.
That's fine. See the eyes all big? He's scoping out all the competition, talking about, ain't nobody looking at my stuff right now. Ain't nobody looking at none of my stuff right now. Keep all them jokers away. See him? Look at him. He's even dipping away. He dipping to the satellite. Hey, Billy, cover that car up.
That was a big wreck, man. I'm sure they had concussion protocols back then, right?
The experts had classed Beetle as the strong favorite, expecting little trouble from the number 9 qualifier, Al Segrini. And it was then that it happened. With incredible skill, Beetle regained control and drove the car to a stop. The crowd waited to see whether Beetle had been injured. And as he climbed out, untouched, the crowd roared its approval.
I always notice this also, the safety safari guys, like they're wanting to hug you, make sure you're all right, like get off of me, give me some space.
A tribute to his driving skills and the safety of the sport.
He knew what he was doing the whole time. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna lose this race, so I want all the TV time.
I feel like that's the easiest crash you'll probably ever have in a funny car. Flipping it, rolling it back over, crowd's going nuts. Get out, give them the standard.
So the signature moment of this, if you're watching this footage, the signature moment is not the crash. That's Segrini over there, that's Beetle. This is crazy. The signature moment is when he throws his arms up. Don't look at Beetle. Look at the background of the shot. Ready? Watch this. When he throws his arms up, look at the like, that is the most primal human thing you'll ever see. It's so good. It's like this moment of, is he gonna get out of the car? He does, and the whole place just goes ape.
The crowd waited to see whether Beetle had been injured. And as he climbed out, untouched, the crowd roared its approval.
Oh, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I just hurt my feelings worse than anything else.
What happened? We couldn't tell from where I was
Well,
down
the car
there.
went out and it shook a little bit, and it had like a slow drift, and I thought I could bring it around, and it just dug in on the one side, and when it did, it just flipped it. There's nothing I could do.
Well, that's the first time you've been on your head in a long time, maybe ever.
Well, we went on our head once several years ago, but I got to say it was my fault. I stayed with it a little longer. You know, we was trying so hard to win that round. we've slid around before and had no problem, but like I said, it just dug in.
And the car doesn't look that badly damaged?
No, it's all right. I think it rolled once or so.
Okay, I'll let you join your wife, Holly, because she's obviously concerned as your condition. He's fine.
She's worse than I am.
Raymond Beetle, sometimes I think he has ice water for blood. A cool, calm individual. Let's get out.
The #1 qualifier, Raymond Beetle, out of competition.
Climb into that sweet, sweet Ford station wagon. I'm sure nothing debaucherous ever happened in that station.
And I'm rolling off in the station wagon. Holla!
The last time in the history of drag racing at 5.34 seconds. How badly did Big Daddy want to back that up? Watch this.
With the touch of a true master of his craft, Garlits regained control and drove the car through the cloud of tire smoke back toward the starting line. The streamlined dragster came through the crash in remarkably good condition, considering the potential for damage. Garlits calmly went about the task of shutting down the engine, unbuckled his safety belts, and climbed from the cockpit, giving the cheering fans a victory salute. The NHRA safety safari was right on the spot.
Oh, I know where this is at. It's Englishtown, New Jersey. I was there, 1986.
Listen, Garlits always had, to me, a theatrical sense to his style in his career. And I know he didn't plan any of this, but the thing smoking the tires backwards, theatrical. Drives through the cloud of smoke like a conquering hero, theatrical. Pulls to the side of the racetrack and then does everything but take a bow when he climbs out of this thing. Again, what are you going to do differently? Or you're going to do it. You're going to finish the run. That's what you're going to do differently. And you're not going to have the guy who looks like a space robot from 1950 walk up in a fire suit that was manufactured by the Mercury space program or something. I don't even know what that thing was.
Just fine. My feelings is hurt is all.
And the world's quickest and fastest dragster took a bad hit, too.
Yeah, it turned over backwards.
Oh, yeah, we know what this is.
I'm not that crazy.
No.
You've had some harrowing experiences, but that was an unusual one.
It was very unusual. It, you know, it just, I knew it was gone. It got so high and then it wouldn't come back. You know, I backed out of it early, but it didn't make any difference. It was accelerating too hard, and even though the throttle was off and everything, it didn't make any difference. It caught wind underneath it.
Any chance of repairing this car?
He looks at Evans. He starts to walk away. Watch this. It's one of my favorite Garlits moments of all time when he starts to walk away and he says, "I'm not that crazy."
One thing about Garlits, he definitely wasn't afraid to try stuff.
I got you $1.
Oh, you almost had it. You got to be quicker than that.
Oh boy. There's a couple people that have put it out of the ball yard in Pomona. Fuzz Miller, I think, was the first guy to do it, at least that anybody captured on film. But yeah, I mean, anytime you get on the wrong side of the guardrail.
They all picked on one side of the racetrack. And how come all the carnage always just happens in the right lane?
Hold on. Let's use the patented announcer line. You picked a fine time to leave me, loose wheel. Gah! Kids, if you're a drag racing announcer or aspiring to be out there, never say that.
That's a darn shame. The front wheel came off and stayed on the racetrack and goes, "Don't worry, I think I can."
A tremendous blower explosion for Ed McCulloch. And Pat Foster crossing the center line. That will disqualify him. But let's look at Ed McCulloch. He apparently is okay, but the car... so.
Back in the... Yep. So you got Ace just grenading the blower off the front of the thing. I like this guy with the fire extinguisher. Like 3 minutes after it happened, the guy with the extinguisher was like, "Now? You want me to shoot it now? Now? How about no? Nothing's on fire." Man, that's as violent as it comes. Just an intake manifold backfire, and off she goes.
Oh, the Ace.
Dude, that looks like you and Tommy D. Tuning for Gilbertson.
It blew
or
it.
you and Cranberger.
Oh, yeah, we blew everything up.
That blower just said, "Pop goes the weasel."
I guarantee you nobody made fun of Buster's perm back then.
Look at, Buster has a perm. Buster Couch has a perm. Look at it. It's majestic. Don't pay attention to the blower. Look at his hair. And then his pretty slow reaction time to go, whoa. Like, when you look at Buster's reaction in slow motion, the blower is landed on the hood and he's like, "Did something just happen over there?"
I just see it, right? I just saw the whole car just fall apart going down the racetrack.
Dude, he needed Loctite on that car. It's falling apart.
Looks like he blew everything out of it. Like
it's like he forgot to tighten everything. He's a new torque wrench. Hey, whoa, 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 whoa! Here goes my car.
And then the wing went down too.
I'm telling you, they didn't tighten up anything. That's just like watching that's like the county fair craft up derby there. That's just a mess.
Oh, oh, ooh, oh, oh, that was bad. That was bad. Oh, look, oh, it's swinging around the track. It's swinging, and it's still taking everything out. I have never saw a car swing around a track. Oh, we're down to number 1. Here we go. Here we go. Where's this? I'm done.
Prudhomme, the far lane, Jim Nichols, they are both staged. Nichols off first. Side by side. Prudhomme. Oh my God.
And that was the closing run of the race. You know, you think about people that were there in the stands, the last run they saw, the Top Fuel final at the U.S. Nationals, and that was the result. And there was no jumbotrons, there was no replays, there was no anything. The only thing, maybe the people on the fence down here saw it. The people that were sitting up by the starting line had no clue what happened, other than probably Bernie Partridge on the microphone, if I had to guess. Partridge was probably relaying what he could to them.
Jim Nichols' car has literally been sawed in half. The front end of it has skidded all the way down to the run-out area. Prudhomme, braking heavily, his parachute behind him. But Nichols' car, cut in half, there is the driver's cage. It caromed at least 350 feet down the track and bounced over into the grass.
Was Nichols all right? And it went over, did he go over the guardrail? I can't tell where he went. It's so old school. But you even see the safety for safaris back in the day, they got campers on the back.
Over into the grass.
You got the dude in the wrecker trying to run over half the crowd. You got a pickup truck with a camper back on it, heading down. Prudhomme gets out, he's distraught for, Prudhomme had seen a lot of guys get killed back then. I mean, he was obviously one of the greatest and remains one of the greatest of all time, but through this era, let's send the Ford Econoline ambulance down there. That left the starting line on Wednesday. That thing probably had like 100 horsepower straight six in it. The response time was unbelievable. The sun was setting and it pulled up on Jim Nichols. And here's Prudhomme just expecting that he has watched a guy get killed in front of him. A phantom front end of a race car with no driver's compartment attached, and saying he's through. And again, this was not the first time Prudhomme had seen somebody thought he had seen somebody meet their end at the racetrack. Obviously, Nichols was okay, but through all the races he ran over the years, there was a lot of young guys that met their end in those cars. Looks like Roland. That's Roland right there on the right side of the screen. Now the left side of your screen right there, Roland Leon. How about that Ford truck, though? Beautiful, blue with the steel wheels. Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine, because we never really see him when he finds out that Jim Nichols is ultimately okay. We only see this moment, which you understand, because Wide World of Sports, they're in a tight kind of edit on these shows, but it's one of the most real moments, I think, that's ever been captured in drag racing. One of the most just real, uncensored, unfiltered moments is his response. And look at him going over to look at the car. I mean, it's like he's looking into a casket almost. And you see that, I mean, you could not saw a front engine Top Fuel car apart cleaner than what happened to that thing. And look, front tire's still good. Didn't even wreck the... Hey, listen, let's send a 59 Cadillac ambulance down, too. The Econoline may still be trying to get there. At least the Caddy's got a little, probably got a 390 in it. It makes about 300 horsepower. It weighs 80,000 pounds, but you could put the back of that thing, you'd be seasick by the time you get to the hospital with it heaving up and down.
Gathered around what's left of Jim Nichols' car, disintegrated in the final run for the Top Fuel Championship. The word from the hospital is that Jim Nichols will be at the victory banquet tonight. He'll be a little sore, but he's all right.
Look, he found he was all right. He was like this, oh, Lord, oh, Lord. And then he went back to cool mode like, I got something for you, son.